This content is brought to you by Uphold, which is one of the top crypto platforms out there, which allows you to easily buy, sell, trade Bitcoin and the top altcoins in the market. Uphold lists 260 plus cryptocurrencies. They also allow you to trade precious metals such as gold, silver, palladium, and platinum. I've been a user of Uphold since 2018, so I can vouch for this platform. They have full transparency reports and they don't commingle or lend out your funds. They also have a great product called Vault, which is an assisted self-custody product. Vault allows you to maintain custody of your funds, and the keys are split. So Uphold holds one and you hold two. And if there's any issues, if you lose one of your keys, Uphold will help restore these keys and you can maintain access to your funds. It's 24/7 instant trading, it's trustless. So this is a great feature that can give you peace of mind where you don't have to worry about if you lose your private keys and much more. So if you'd like to learn more about Uphold, please visit the link in the description.
Hey everybody, Tony here at the DC Blockchain Summit, and with me is of course John Deaton, who needs no introduction. John, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. Congratulations with everything that's going on in your race for
Thank
the
you.
Senate.
Thank you.
Um,
Officially on the ballot, first Republican nominee.
it's exciting. John, first and foremost, because I want to make sure folks take care of this. Where can they donate to you and find you? And then we'll talk about the other stuff.
Thank you, Tony, for that. It's johndeatonforsenate.com. And listen, every bit helps. You know, $5, $10, 20, 50, 500, whatever you can afford. I know times are tough, but trust me, you're going to be proud if you donate whatever you can to be able to say that you brought change, not just to Massachusetts, but to America. This Elizabeth Warren is very beatable. I did a thread yesterday just to point out a few things.
Sure.
But what I'm hearing on the ground, you know, there's 64% of the voters in Massachusetts are independent. They're called unenrolled. Wow. It's the highest in the country, and they've had enough of these failed policies. So if they see a viable alternative who's a nonpartisan person who's just going to put America and Massachusetts first, and not worry about the policies and the politics and the agendas. I think I'm going to be successful and I just need to raise the money to be competitive, you know, for digital ads and radio ads and TV ads to get the name out there. But she's so beatable, and I just need people to know that. And whatever they can contribute, it will help. And they're going to be able to sit back and be proud that they brought change. And if I'm wrong, I promise you, you'll get your money's worth when I stand on that stage and debate Senator Elizabeth Warren. I guarantee you get your money worth.
John, with the way things have been progressing, I mean, last week you had Donald Trump come out and gave his endorsement of crypto. You got the SEC SOB 121 getting repealed in the House. You have the FIT bill vote coming up in about a week. I see Elizabeth Warren's on the wrong side of history here, and she built this anti-crypto army. You know, what do you think is going to happen as we get closer to the elections? Crypto is going to become a more prominent issue?
Well, you know, it's something, Tony, that I struggled with. I really did in the beginning because when you look at Massachusetts, I just went to the border, southern border.
Right.
And I just put out a video this morning about it. And illegal immigration in Massachusetts is ground zero because we have a right to shelter law. So anyone who shows up homeless has to be housed by law. And so illegal immigration's out of control in Massachusetts. The debt crisis, the opioid crisis, inflation, housing costs. Massachusetts is the second or third most expensive state in the country to live in. Third most expensive to buy a house. Average house is $610,000 in Massachusetts.
What's going on up there?
So what I'm saying is, the point I'm making, Tony, is with all those things, why is Elizabeth Warren so focused on crypto? You and I both know that substantially less than 1% of crypto is used for illicit activity.
Right.
So why would you say when you announce your re-election, I'm building an anti-crypto army and be so focused on it? And I couldn't understand it for a long time. And then she went on Meet the Press with Chuck Todd and said that America is ready for a Federal Reserve issued CBDC. And then it made sense. If you want to control people, you control their money. Right. And in order to do that, then you ban self-custody of Bitcoin and crypto because it can't compete with the CBDC. So in Elizabeth Warren's world, it's good for Larry Fink, maybe, because you can own an ETF, right? But you can't self-custody. Like, that's taking away your constitutional right to own property. I can own a house, I can own, you know, stocks, bonds, and I should be able to own digital assets. And so I've been saying for a long time, since I got in the race, freedom is on the line. And let me tell you, I've been saying this as a joke, but I mean it. George Orwell is spinning over in his grave, you know, who wrote 1984 and Big Brother, because programmable money, where the only issue that we have, the only form of money we have is a Federal Reserve CBDC, that means they control everything. They can turn off your money. You know that. Yeah. And that's scary. And I actually say, you know, it's not hyperbole when I say that Elizabeth Warren's plan is the single greatest threat to freedom in my lifetime. And that's a big statement. And I do not believe it's hyperbole for me to say it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, money, I mean, what can we say here that without money, you can't operate, you can't do whatever you need to. And if the government has supreme control over that, where they can track everything you do, try to ding you on every little thing, you have, what freedom do you have?
I mean, listen, we're talking about, and now I'm just going to, let's go to the extreme because it's a slippery slope. Programmable money, they can limit it geographically. Sure. So you're only allowed, your CBDC only works in these states, right? Or at some point, let's take it to the extreme level. Maybe the government thinks you had too many sodas. Yeah. Right? They cut it off. They could control, oh, wait a minute, Tony, you contributed to ABC company. Yeah. We think that's we think that is linked to extremism. So now they turn off your money. Right. The government needs to be out of our business. Yeah. And when you think about banning something, that's such an extreme thing. You know, I just made a comment on panel. Do you think an ATM machine has ever been used in a drug deal? Someone buying pills or prostitution, violating the law, right? Of course it has. Do we ban it? You know, and so why would she be so focused? You know, the truth is Hamas actually issued a directive that said don't use crypto, right?
Because they were getting tracked.
Because it was getting tracked. Yeah. The federal government is the fourth or the fifth largest holder of Bitcoin because you can confiscate it, right? Because they have.
Right.
And so when you think of that, it's just insane of what Senator Warren is proposing, and Gary Gensler is her minion and doing everything that she wants. They're conspiring and coordinating together. They've basically, Elizabeth Warren, we all know, told Gary Gensler, here are not only the questions I'm going to ask you, but here's the answer.
Here's the answers, yeah.
Say this so that later she can say, look what the SEC chair said. Well, you told him to say it. See, and I think people are sick and tired of that. Yeah. Sick and tired of politics, man. And I think that this year we're going to see. And I just encourage everyone, don't listen to the naysayers. I would not be doing this if I could not win. Right. Now, I'm never going to suggest to you or anyone else that it's not an uphill battle. I'm not going to suggest that it's not going to be very difficult. If it wasn't, everyone would do it. Yeah. Right? And so, but overcoming difficulty is in my DNA. For sure. But I just want people to know, I wouldn't subject my family to the sacrifice, myself to the scrutiny that's coming. I wouldn't have put all my, you know, not all my money, but a lot of money of my own money to fund it. Sure. If I didn't have a legitimate chance to win. And so I can win. And if people go out and they help me, I'm telling you, they're going to be happy with the result.
Donate to John. And if you're in Massachusetts, you better vote for him. I'm coming for you. No. But John, you know, it seems like the tide is changing with Elizabeth Warren's agenda. Obviously, there's other issues in the country, and like you're talking about the border and all these things. But as it relates to crypto, the SEC continues to lose in court. They're getting scolded. They're getting called out by the judges and so forth. I mean, you were at the forefront of launching a counterattack against the SEC and their overreach. How do you see things playing out as Gensler is still there?
They're losing. And they're going to lose, but it's we're at a very fragile time. If the Democrats control the entire government, and Elizabeth Warren, Sherrod Brown, and all of those people return to government after the election, the House flips to the Dems, the president is Democratic, and the Senate, then it's going to be the dark ages potentially. I don't think that's going to happen though, because I think that there's enough voters, and I'm in Massachusetts and I'm talking to them. They are just sick and tired of the division and they just want something different. And so ultimately they're going to lose. They're losing the narrative. You see that the break is with the younger Democrats.
Yeah.
Bitcoin and crypto should never be a partisan thing, right? It's about freedom. It's about property rights. Of course, I'm someone that I've been, and I know you have too, been pushing for regulation, for smart, tailored regulation of the industry. I want the bad guys out.
Absolutely.
And I want them to sit in jail and rot in jail. You steal money from a grandma or some hardworking person who's just trying to build a little nest egg for his life or her life and their family, and you steal from that, you need to rot in prison as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely. So I want them taken out, but we have to focus on these for example, younger Democrats are sort of going against Elizabeth Warren and Sherrod Brown. And so there really is an age issue, I think, in play here.
Yeah, this generational gap, right? It's interesting. And I did not expect crypto to be such a political issue, but they're just being draconian in their overreach versus coming to the table and saying, hey, let's figure this out. Let's work together. Let's find balanced regulations. But they're attacking it, and that means you're attacking the people who hold it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the last time I heard, the estimate is between 50 and 80 million people in the United States, adults, own crypto or have exposure to it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty significant. But we have to create the narrative. See, Elizabeth Warren is a very smart person, and she's very capable of creating false narratives. So she's created or helped create this false narrative with Jamie Dimon that the only use case for crypto are, terrorists and criminals and drug dealers and the cartel. Now, we all know that's not true.
Right.
So we have to do a better job of making sure that this isn't about, it's sort of my suit against the SEC. From the very beginning, I was telling the world, it's not about XRP.
Yeah.
Right. Bitcoiners would say that, I was promoting shitcoin or this or that. And I would say back to them, it's not about the underlying asset, right? It's about the government telling you and me what we can and cannot do in our lives.
Yeah.
And the asset itself is just code, software code.
Right.
And so you're talking about banning software code and you're bending the law to facilitate this false narrative. And so that's what my actions were always against that, and I would say, listen, to the Bitcoiners, for example, I'm a Bitcoin. I own more Bitcoin than I do XRP. Okay. I've said that from the beginning.
Yep.
That let the best technology win.
Right.
Let's have a level playing field. Whether crypto, I saw Elizabeth Warren and she was like, crypto's a bad investment. Right? That's what she said.
Was she an investment advisor?
Yeah, she said it's a no, unlike you, she gives financial advice, right? She said it's a terrible investment. Well, okay, Elizabeth, don't own it.
Yeah, right.
Don't put your money in it. But don't tell Tony.
Yeah.
Don't tell Tony's mom.
Exactly.
Don't tell me what I can and
Yeah.
cannot own with my money.
Absolutely.
This is America. So we need to create the narrative that it's about freedom and property rights, right? And not it's about XRP or Bitcoin or Ethereum or any other token.
Right.
We just got to say, hey, this is like owning a condo, or this is like buying your car. You know, you have the freedom to go buy which car you want. Some people love GM, right?
Yeah.
They're only Cadillacs. Some people in my day were only Lincolns, right?
Sure,
when I was in Detroit. And so, yeah, that's fine, but you get to choose. And so that's what my efforts have always been about, fighting government overreach. And now we see, because you interviewed me early on, right? Yeah. When I sued the SEC, and we were talking, and I was like, listen, the people that are saying this is just an XRP problem, you and I and others were saying, listen, the government can come after the others as well, and now they have.
Spot on.
And now, not only that, but they're not calling Bitcoin a security, but they're just saying you can't own it. You can't self-custody it.
Right.
And you can't even own it in a Coinbase account or an exchange, right? You can own an ETF and have some exposure. So you can make Larry Fink and BlackRock more rich, but you can't do it, right? God forbid you do it. And so it's silly. It's a distributed public ledger. It is as traceable as anything. We can see every single transaction, you know, and so we've got to make sure that the message we give to voters is freedom, not, you know, digital assets themselves. It's about freedom.
Absolutely. John, well said. I know you got to run.
I appreciate
folks,
you.
Go donate to John. If you're in Massachusetts, vote for John.
Always a pleasure, Tony. And when I win the Senate, I'll be back on. I'll always remember my friends, brother.
Awesome. Right. I'll be out there cheering for you,
All
man.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, John.